You see them everywhere. The quiet ones. They finish degrees while everyone else is posting graduation countdowns. They get promoted while no others announce every interview. They build businesses while their feeds stay empty. No highlights, no victory laps. No humble brag posts starting with those 3 words. So humbled too. You check their profiles and wonder what they are hiding. Nothing. They are just not performing. Not for you, not for anyone. Something psychological research has been mapping for decades. People who keep their achievements quiet are not less confident. They are differently wired. Their self-worth does not live in the comment section. It lives somewhere social media cannot reach. And the data proves they are more grounded than the people shouting from the rooftops. This script is researched and factual using sources from Nature Human Behavior, published November 2024 by Jonah Kotka and Karina Schumann at the University of Pittsburgh, examining intellectual humility across 2,034 participants, and the Journal of Aodangpao. Personality and Social Psychology, published in 1999 by David Dunning and Justin Kruger, cited over 8,500 times, establishing how incompetence shields people from recognizing their own incompetence. Now back to the information. 2 people achieve the same thing. One broadcasts, one stays silent. The broadcaster gets validation, dopamine hit, 53 likes, 89 comments. The silent one gets something else, internal confirmation, no audience required. That difference is not random. It is attachment theory playing out in real time. Not conditional on performance, not dependent on approval. That foundation follows them into adulthood. Research published in Psychiatry International, December 2024, analyzed 557 Chilean university students. The findings were clear. Secure attachment correlated directly with better emotional regulation and lower anxiety. Secure people do not need external validation loops. They already know they are enough. Every achievement needs an audience. Every milestone needs confirmation. Research in Frontiers in Psychology, March 2024, found that anxious attachment styles predict lower self-esteem and higher dependence on social feedback. These individuals are not weak. They are running a different operating system, one where self-worth requires external servers. They get the promotion and tell 3 people, maybe. This is not humility performance. This is secure attachment in action. Their self-concept does not fluctuate with engagement metrics. Research from the Educational Studies Journal, August 2022, examined teacher groups with humble leadership. Teachers under humble leaders reported significantly higher psychological safety. They felt empowered to share knowledge because the leader did not need to be the smartest person in the room. Humble leaders created space. Loud leaders consumed it. The pattern holds across contexts. Quiet competence creates room for others. Loud competence demands an audience. Consider the Dunning-Kruger effect. It is misunderstood in popular culture. People think it means stupid people are confident. Wrong. David Dunning clarified in a recent interview on the ZME Science podcast, recorded in October 2025. The effect is not about general intelligence. It is about specific domain knowledge. When you learn a little about something, you overestimate your understanding. You lack the knowledge to recognize what you do not know. This happens to everyone. The least skilled are the most overconfident because they cannot see the gap. The highly skilled are more cautious. They know what they do not know. They won the 2023 Grawemeyer Award in Psychology for this work. The paper is titled, Unskilled and Unaware of It, How Difficulties in Recognizing One's Own Incompetence Lead to Inflated Self-Assessments. The title tells the story. Incompetence is a double burden. You lack the skill and you lack the awareness of lacking it. A European Journal of Psychology of Education study, February 2024, examined primary school students across multiple European countries. High performers in mathematics consistently underestimated their abilities relative to peers. Low performers overestimated. The pattern is consistent. Competence breeds caution. Incompetence breeds confidence. Research in Psychological Medicine Bulletin, published between 2015 and 2019, conducted a systematic literature review of 21 studies. Grandiose narcissism correlated positively with problematic Facebook use. The relationship was consistent across studies. Narcissists use social media as a stage. They need admiration. They craft perfect images. They dominate news feeds. Narcissists are motivated by social status. They brag. They exaggerate positive attributes. Offline, they dominate conversations, interrupt, steer discussions toward their accomplishments. Online, they flood feeds with exercise habits, diets, personal achievements. Marshall, Leffringhausen, and Ferenczi documented this in 2015. McCain and Campbell confirmed it in 2016. The pattern is clear. Narcissists need an audience. Psychology Today published an article in February 2018 examining why people should stop bragging on social media. Kara Palmer and colleagues found that individuals who bragged reported lower agreeableness, lower conscientiousness, lower empathy. Those who both bragged and mass shared showed the highest levels of narcissism. The hubris hypothesis holds. People dislike braggarts. They infer the braggart has a negative view of everyone around them. The subtext of every boast, I am better than you. They do not need to signal superiority. Their self-worth is not comparative. This connects to intrinsic motivation. Self-determination. Theory, developed by Edward Desai and Richard Ryan in 1985, identifies three basic psychological needs: competence, autonomy, relatedness. Intrinsic motivation arises when these needs are met. You act for the joy of the activity itself, not for external rewards, not for validation, for the doing. Dopaminergic systems support exploratory and mastery behaviors. These are ancient tendencies. Intrinsically motivated people pursue challenges because growth feels good, not because the trophy looks good online. This is the quiet achiever's engine. They are driven by competence and autonomy, not by applause. But research in Annual Review of Organizational Psychology, January 2022, found that intrinsic motivation predicts persistence. When intrinsically motivated, people experience work as an end in itself. The activity and its goal merge. Interest and enjoyment sustain effort. No external validation required. Research links intrinsic motivation to better learning, performance, creativity, optimal development, psychological wellness. Over 4 decades of studies confirm this. People driven from within outperform people driven by external rewards over the long term. Research published in the Journal of Assessment and Research in Applied Counseling, 2024, studied 441 Greek university students. The findings: attachment security predicted self-worth. Social feedback sensitivity also predicted self-worth. But secure attachment was the stronger predictor. People with secure attachment had stable self-worth. It did not fluctuate with external feedback. They did not need constant recognition to feel valuable. They adjust, but their core sense of value is not on trial. Research from PMC published in September 2023 examined how perceived security in childhood influences adult self-concept. The study found secure attachment provides a solid emotional foundation. It enables resilience. Resilience protects self-esteem even during stress. People with secure attachment develop positive self-image, greater self-confidence, fewer maladaptive schemas. They carry this into adulthood. The Journal of Positive Psychology published research in 2012. 3 studies confirmed humble individuals were more helpful than less humble individuals. Humility did not make them weak. It made them prosocial. They had self-regulatory capacity. They guarded against excess. They fostered prosocial tendencies. Other research from International Journal of Management Reviews, January 2018, defined humility as a self-view that something greater than the self exists. Humble individuals acknowledge limitations alongside strengths. They seek diverse feedback. They appreciate others' contributions without ego threat. Research from PMC, published in studies between 2012 and 2019, confirmed that humble leaders create positive relationships. They are compassionate about followers' developmental journeys. They validate uncertainty. They facilitate team learning. They increase employee engagement and job satisfaction. Humble CEOs empower followers, which increases work engagement, effective commitment, job performance. Teachers with humble leaders felt psychologically safe. They felt empowered. They shared knowledge more fully. The reason humble leaders admitted mistakes. They were open to learning from others. This created space for collaboration. A little humility goes a long way in group productivity. The quiet achievers embody this. They do not need to be the smartest person in the room. They listen. They learn. They contribute without dominating. Research from educational studies, published June 2022 by Yoon Koo, Jinjae Ju, and Roger Goddard, examined this dynamic. Humble leadership linked to knowledge sharing via psychological safety and psychological empowerment. The chain is clear. Humility creates safety. Safety empowers. Empowerment enables sharing. Sharing improves outcomes. Nature Reviews Psychology, June 2022, published a comprehensive review. Intellectual humility involves acknowledging the limitations of one's knowledge. Recognizing one's beliefs might be incorrect. This is metacognitive ability. You think about your thinking. You see your blind spots. Research showed intellectual humility predicts better decision-making, improved learning, stronger relationships. 2,034 participants total. The findings: scientists who displayed intellectual humility were perceived as more trustworthy. Their research was seen as more rigorous. The effect was large. Intellectual humility increased trust in scientists across climate science, medical topics, psychological research, Gender and race did not diminish the effect. Humble scientists earn trust. They say, "I do not know without shame." Research from MIT professor Hal Gregerson suggests asking yourself each morning, "What will I be wrong about today?" This builds intellectual humility, creates a healthy reminder. You are fallible, everyone is. The Dunning-Kruger effect applies to you too. Social media complicates everything. Newport Institute research, published May 2024, found that posting large quantities of photos and selfies increased narcissism by 25% over 4 months. Participants aged 18 to 34 showed significant narcissistic trait increases. Those using image-focused platforms like Facebook became more narcissistic over time. Some increases qualified for narcissistic personality disorder diagnosis. Social media is not just reflecting narcissism. It is creating it. Their self-worth becomes entangled with engagement metrics. They post more, they curate more, they perform more. The quiet achievers opt out of this cycle. Participants who scored higher for narcissism used social media less but posted significantly more selfies. Let that sink in. Narcissists are selective. They post selfies, not frequent updates. The selfie is the medium. It showcases the self. It demands attention. It says, "Look at me." The quiet achievers do not play this game. They are not on social media less because they lack achievements. They are on less because achievements do not need an audience. Their competence speaks through results, not posts. Their confidence is quiet because it does not require external confirmation. Emotional regulation is key here. Research in World Journal of Advanced Research and Reviews, 2024, examined 150 individuals with childhood trauma. The study found secure attachment styles helped individuals regulate emotions effectively. Insecure attachment styles correlated with suppression and avoidance strategies. Secure individuals used healthier emotional regulation. They acknowledged feelings, they processed them, they moved forward. Insecure individuals either suppressed emotions or became overwhelmed. Neither approach is sustainable. Then they share selectively, with trusted people, in meaningful contexts, not with everyone, not for validation. This script is researched and factual, using sources from Frontiers in Psychology, published November 2024, examining attachment and self-regulation in workplace contexts across 2 dimensions of attachment theory, and PMC research from June 2023 reviewing attachment-related differences in emotion regulation in adults using representational attachment measures, including the adult attachment interview. Now back to the information. Journal of Personality and Social Psychology research, published September 2015, found that humility facilitates higher self-control. Across multiple studies, participants in humility conditions showed greater physical stamina. They compressed hand grips longer. They exhibited better self-regulatory capacity. The mechanism? Humility reduces ego depletion. When you're not defending a grandiose self-image, you conserve energy. That energy goes toward actual tasks. They are not spending mental resources on self-promotion. They are not crafting posts. They are not monitoring engagement. They are not defending their image. All that energy goes toward the work itself, the achievement, the growth, the mastery. Research from PMC, published multiple times between 2013 and 2018, examined humility in organizations. Humble employees possess self-regulatory capacity. This guards against excess. It fosters pro-social tendencies. Humble individuals acknowledge limitations alongside strengths. They do not have excessive focus on themselves. They seek diverse feedback. They appreciate contributions from others without ego threat. This is not weakness. This is strength. Research published in September 2025 by Psycho Wellness Center examined internal versus external validation. Internal validation links to higher life satisfaction and lower susceptibility to anxiety and depression. Kristen Neff's self-compassion research shows that treating yourself with kindness strengthens inner worth. It breaks the habit of self-criticism. You replace, "I messed up, I am useless," with, "I made a mistake, I'm learning." They do not broadcast failures because they do not catastrophize them. They process, they learn, they adjust. Their self-worth is not contingent on perfection. It is based on growth, on effort, on showing up. This is the foundation of psychological groundedness. Social comparison theory, developed by Leon Festinger in 1954, explains why external validation is unstable. People automatically compare themselves to others. When you seek validation externally, your measuring stick is other people. This creates envy, competition, inadequacy. The quiet achievers shift the measuring stick to personal growth. They compare themselves to their past selves, not to others. This reduces social comparison stress dramatically. Self-determination. Theory emphasizes that intrinsic motivation, The drive to act for personal growth and fulfillment is more sustainable than extrinsic rewards. Desai and Ryan's research, spanning 40 years and published across hundreds of studies, consistently shows intrinsic motivation leads to greater well-being. People motivated from within experience autonomy, competence, relatedness. These are the three basic psychological needs. When met, psychological wellness follows. This combination creates sustainable motivation. They do not burn out chasing external validation because that is not their fuel source. The average IQ is 100. People on average think their IQ is 115. This cognitive bias affects everyone, but the quiet achievers are less susceptible. Why? They're not trying to be better than average. They are trying to be better than yesterday. The European Journal of Psychology of Education, February 2024, examined the Dunning-Kruger effect across primary mathematics students in multiple countries. High performers underestimated abilities. Low performers overestimated. The misalignment between confidence and performance has long-term consequences. Students who cannot accurately self-assess struggle with self-regulation. They underutilize capabilities or make suboptimal career choices. Girls' overly critical self-assessment of math abilities contributes to lower STEM motivation. Accurate self-assessment matters for life outcomes. They have failed. They have learned. They know their capabilities and limitations. This knowledge is earned through experience, not assumed through confidence. They do not overestimate because they understand the complexity of what they do. They do not underestimate because they trust their track record. Better relationships, higher well-being. Secure individuals exhibited balanced views of themselves and others. They were comfortable with intimacy. They did not need emotional distance. They did not need constant reassurance. This secure base allowed them to function effectively without external validation loops. They do not need their partner to affirm every decision. They do not need strangers to validate every achievement. They have internal confirmation. They know when they did well. They know when they need to improve. The feedback loop is internal. Research examining the influence of perceived security in childhood on adult self-concept, published in PMC September 2023, found that resilience mediates the relationship between security and self-concept. Secure attachment develops resilience. Resilience protects against negative self-esteem development during stress. It enables maintaining positive self-image even through difficulties. The quiet achievers have resilience, not because life is easy, because secure attachment taught them they can handle challenges. Studies on intellectual humility from PMC, published throughout 2022 and 2023, found that intellectually humble people are more concerned with getting at the truth than promoting themselves or protecting their own ideas. This is the quiet achiever's orientation. Truth over image, growth over performance, understanding over being right. This does not make them pushovers, it makes them effective. Research from Nature Reviews. Psychology, June 2022, identified intellectual humility as a metacognitive ability. You recognize the limitations of your beliefs and knowledge. You understand you might be wrong. This is not weakness. This is sophistication. Fools are certain. Experts are cautious. The quiet achievers are expert enough to be cautious. The correlation held across 19 studies, multiple countries, diverse populations. Narcissists are drawn to social media. It provides the perfect stage. Control over self-presentation, immediate feedback, quantified validation. The quiet achievers do not need this stage. They do not need the control. They do not need the feedback. Their stage is their life. Their audience is themselves. Results show that for individuals with low intrinsic enjoyment, external motivation helped performance. But for individuals with high intrinsic enjoyment, external motivation reduced performance. Adding external rewards undermined intrinsic motivation. This is the over-justification effect. When you reward intrinsically motivated behavior, you shift the locus of control. The activity becomes about the reward, not the joy. The quiet achievers protect their intrinsic motivation by not externalizing it. Research from the Journal of Positive Psychology, 2012, found humble people were more helpful across 3 studies. The humility-helpfulness hypothesis held. Humble individuals exhibited more prosocial behavior. Why? They were not focused on themselves. They had cognitive space for others. They noticed needs. They responded. Their self-regulatory capacity guarded against selfish excess. They fostered prosocial tendencies naturally. They contribute without credit-seeking. They make things better without needing recognition. This is not invisible labor. This is chosen service. They do it because it aligns with their values, not because it looks good. The research on self-efficacy and intrinsic motivation, published in journals like Research in Music Education, examined how self-efficacy relates to intrinsic motivation and self-worth. Self-efficacy is belief in your ability to succeed. Intrinsic motivation is the drive to act for internal satisfaction. Self-worth is the fundamental sense of value. These three interact. High self-efficacy increases intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation sustains effort. Sustained effort builds genuine competence. Genuine competence reinforces self-worth. The cycle is virtuous. The quiet achievers live this cycle. Research examining the Dunning-Kruger effect across cultures, published in educational psychology journals throughout 2023 and 2024, found cultural differences. Individualistic cultures like the United States show more pronounced overconfidence. Collectivistic cultures like East Asian societies show diminished effect or even reversal. People in collectivistic cultures tend to underestimate abilities. Cultural values shape self-assessment. The quiet achievers may be operating from cultural humility values, or they may be individually oriented toward accuracy over confidence. Your mood and confidence rise and fall with others' feedback. You lose identity. You change behavior to match expectations. You experience burnout from constant people-pleasing. You develop anxiety and self-doubt from fear of losing approval. The quiet achievers avoid this cost. They do not need approval. They have internal confirmation. Ask questions with curiosity rather than proving yourself right. These practices strengthen internal validation. They reduce dependence on external feedback. These are ancient, phylogenetically conserved systems. Exploratory and mastery behaviors are fundamental to human nature. We are wired to learn, grow, master. Not for rewards, for the doing. Social media hijacks this system. It provides artificial rewards, likes, comments, shares. The dopamine hit comes from external sources. The quiet achievers keep their dopamine system aligned with actual achievement. The satisfaction comes from competence itself. Research from Frontiers in Psychology, published March 2024, examined attachment and mental health among healthcare workers during COVID-19. Secure attachment predicted better mental health outcomes. It enhanced coping skills. It increased personal worth and self-efficacy. It reduced anxiety. It promoted positive strategies for dealing with stress. It improved emotional regulation. Secure individuals had internal resources. They did not collapse under external pressure. They built them through secure attachment, through intrinsic motivation, through accurate self-assessment, through intellectual humility, through emotional regulation, through resilience. These are not innate traits. These are developed capacities. They come from doing the psychological work. Studies on humble leadership published across 2012 to 2022 consistently show benefits. Humble leaders model learning. They admit uncertainty. They embrace complexity. They create psychologically safe environments. Teams under humble leaders perform better. They innovate more. They collaborate more effectively. They sustain performance longer. The quiet achievers bring this humility to leadership roles. They do not need to be the hero. They need the team to succeed. Research examining mentalization and emotional regulation, published in PMC throughout 2021 to 2024, found that earned secure individuals, those who achieved secure attachment despite difficult childhoods, showed effective mentalization and low emotional. Dysregulation. They developed the ability to understand mental states. They regulated emotions effectively. They formed secure attachments to alternative figures. Resilience is possible. Security can be earned. They may have lacked early secure attachment, but they built it. Through therapy, through healthy relationships, through intentional development, they earned their groundedness. This makes it stronger, not weaker. They know what it took. They value it. Research on attachment-related emotion regulation differences, published PMC June 2023, found secure individuals exhibit balanced emotion regulation. Insecure, dismissing individuals downregulate emotions to deactivate attachment needs. Insecure, preoccupied individuals upregulate emotions to communicate attachment needs. Secure individuals do neither extreme. They feel emotions. They process them. They move through them. They do not suppress. They do not amplify. They experience. They feel achievement, satisfaction without needing to broadcast it. They feel failure, disappointment without catastrophizing it. They stay present. They stay grounded. They stay regulated. This is not emotional flatness. This is emotional sophistication. The research on self-worth and attachment security, published in the Journal of Assessment and Research in Applied Counseling 2024, found that recognition and secure attachment are foundational to self-worth. Being valued by others is essential. But the quiet achievers have already been valued by secure attachment figures, by mentors, by genuine relationships. They carry that valuing forward. They do not need it from strangers. They have it from sources that matter. Studies examining psychological well-being and relationship status, published PMC March 2023, found that stable romantic relationships correlate with higher psychological well-being, lower psychopathology, good view of oneself, Effective emotional regulation, higher self-esteem. Relationships regulate stress. Quality, effective relationships impact physiological systems. Endocrine system, autonomic nervous system, immune system. Better stress response equals greater psychological well-being. The quiet achievers invest in real relationships, not audience relationships. Deep connections, not broad networks. The means and the goal merge. This is means ends fusion. You are not doing X to get Y. You are doing X because X itself is valuable. The quiet achievers experience this. They achieve not for the announcement. They achieve because achievement itself matters. Secure attachment predicts emotional regulation. Emotional regulation predicts stable self-worth. Stable self-worth reduces need for external validation. Intrinsic motivation sustains effort without external rewards. Intellectual humility enables accurate self-assessment. Accurate self-assessment prevents overconfidence. Humility fosters pro-social behavior. Pro-social behavior builds genuine relationships. Genuine relationships reinforce secure attachment. The cycle is self-sustaining. They are psychologically grounded. Their self-worth is internal. Their motivation is intrinsic. Their attachment is secure. Their emotion regulation is effective. Their humility is genuine. Their confidence is earned. They do not need to broadcast because the broadcast is not the point. The achievement is the point. The growth is the point. The mastery is the point. The data is consistent. People who do not seek external validation are not less confident. They are differently confident. Their confidence comes from internal sources: competence, autonomy, secure attachment, emotional regulation. These sources are stable. They do not fluctuate with likes. They do not depend on comments. They endure. People with ulterior motives, lower status individuals seeking proximity to perceived power, these are not genuine relationships. These are transactional connections. The quiet achievers avoid this entirely. They attract people interested in them, not their highlight reel. A study tracking 74 participants aged 18 to 34 over 4 months, published in 2018, found that posting large quantities of photos increased narcissism by 25%. Some participants qualified for narcissistic personality disorder by study end. Social media was not just revealing narcissism, it was creating it. The quiet achievers protect themselves by opting out. They do not let the platform shape their psychology. They shape their psychology through intentional practices. The Marshall, Leffringhausen, and Ferenczi study from 2015 found that overt desires for social approval mediated links between narcissism and boasting about achievements online. The narcissist needs approval. That need drives posting. That posting reinforces the need. The cycle escalates. The quiet achievers do not enter this cycle. They do not need the approval. They do not post the boast. They do not reinforce the need. They stay free. Research examining the relationship between narcissism and social media use, published across journals from 2015 to 2019, found consistent positive correlations. Grandiose narcissism predicted more time on social media, more selfies, more friend counts, more photos uploaded. The platform enables the trait. The trait drives platform use. The quiet achievers use social media differently if they use it at all. They consume selectively. They post rarely. They engage authentically. They do not perform. A meta-analysis examining narcissism and social media across 57 studies, published April 2017, found grandiose narcissists are encountered more frequently on social networks than vulnerable narcissists. A link exists between friend count, photo uploads, and narcissistic traits. Gender and age do not moderate this. The pattern is consistent across demographics. Narcissists spend more time on social networks. They exhibit specific behavioral patterns. The quiet achievers do not fit these patterns. They are not narcissists. They are grounded. The quiet achievers conserve these resources. They spend attention on actual work. They spend energy on real relationships. They spend mental resources on growth, not on maintaining an image. Research from Stanford examining self-efficacy, published between 1992 and 2000, found that self-efficacy, belief in your ability to succeed, is an essential motive to learn. Self-efficacy predicts motivation. Motivation predicts persistence. Persistence predicts achievement. But self-efficacy comes from mastery experiences, not from posts, not from likes, from actually succeeding at increasingly difficult tasks. The quiet achievers build self-efficacy through mastery, through challenges overcome, through competence developed, through real achievement. Jim Collins, Level 5. Leadership Concept, published in Harvard Business Review 2001, describe leaders with personal humility and fierce professional resolve. These leaders do not need credit. They attribute success to factors outside themselves. They attribute failure to themselves. They focus on results, not recognition. They build organizations that outlast them. The quiet achievers have this orientation. They focus on impact, not image. The Ohio State study examining humble leadership in professional learning communities, published August 2022, found that humble leaders made teachers feel empowered. Teachers felt psychologically safe. They took risks. They shared knowledge. Group productivity increased. Humble leadership created these conditions, not because humble leaders were weak, because they made space for others. The quiet achievers make this space, in teams, in families, in communities. Research published in Social and Personality Psychology Compass, November 2013, reviewed trends in humility research. After decades of neglect, humility was finally getting attention. Two promising strategies emerged: self-report measures, other report measures. Both had validity. Humility research was expanding. The findings were consistent. Humility predicts positive outcomes, interpersonally, intrapersonally, across domains. The quiet achievers embody researched humility, not false modesty, genuine recognition of limitations alongside strengths. Studies examining the Hexaco model of personality, which includes honesty-humility as a sixth factor beyond the Big Five, found that honesty-humility predicts important outcomes: lower corruption, more helping behavior, more cooperation, less exploitation of others. The quiet achievers score high on honesty-humility, not because they are saints, because they do not need to exploit others for validation. They have internal validation. Awe leads people to diminish focus on self, to be open to negative information about self, to respond to self-related feedback non-defensively. The quiet achievers may experience more awe. They are less self-focused. They notice the world. They appreciate complexity. They feel wonder. This diminishes the need for self-promotion. It values growth over glory. It practices compassion. It exhibits humility. The quiet achievers have quiet egos, not weak egos, balanced egos. In 2024, multiple research teams across universities in Greece, Chile, China, Germany, Italy, Poland, Malaysia, Korea, Norway, Netherlands, Pakistan, Australia, India examined related phenomena. The findings across cultures: secure attachment predicts emotional regulation. Emotional regulation predicts psychological well-being. Intrinsic motivation predicts persistence. Intellectual humility predicts trust. Humility predicts prosocial behavior. The patterns hold globally. The quiet achievers worldwide share similar psychological profiles. Children with secure attachment develop emotional regulation. They build intrinsic motivation. They pursue mastery. They face challenges. They develop accurate self-assessment. They recognize their limitations. They appreciate others' contributions. They build genuine competence. They feel satisfied internally. They do not need external validation. They become adults who achieve without announcing, who grow without performing, who succeed without broadcasting. You cannot broadcast quiet confidence. The moment you announce you are humble, you are not. The moment you post about not caring what people think, you care what people think. The quiet achievers are not trying to seem grounded, they are grounded. Secure attachment provides the foundation. Emotional regulation provides stability. Intrinsic motivation provides drive. Intellectual humility provides accuracy. Self-compassion provides resilience. These components interact, they reinforce, they create a self-sustaining system. External validation becomes unnecessary, not rejected, not scorned, just unnecessary. They build skills without progress posts. They maintain friendships without public declarations. They contribute without credit. They grow without audiences. They live without performance. Their psychological needs are met internally. They do not need what the broadcaster needs. They are not judging the broadcaster. They are simply on a different path. 557 students in attachment research, 441 students in self-worth studies, 215 students in self-efficacy research, 150 individuals in emotional regulation studies, 74 participants tracked over 4 months. Thousands of data points, hundreds of correlations, decades of research. The conclusion is consistent. People who keep achievements quiet score higher on secure attachment, emotional regulation, intrinsic motivation, intellectual humility, self-compassion, psychological well-being. They are not hiding. They are not modest. They are not ashamed. They are integrated. Their internal experience matches their external behavior. They achieve because achievement matters, not because announcing matters. They grow because growth satisfies, not because showing growth validates. They contribute because contribution aligns with values, not because credit enhances image. They are whole. It is about everyone being overconfident in domains where they have little knowledge. The misunderstanding of this effect is itself an example of the effect. People with little knowledge of the research confidently misinterpret it. The quiet achievers understand the actual effect. They have enough knowledge to recognize what they do not know. Secure attachment predicted better emotional regulation. Insecure attachment predicted difficulties. The relationships held across biological sex. The findings replicated decades of attachment research. Secure attachment is foundational. The quiet achievers built this foundation, or they earned it through development. Higher performance. The researchers proposed integrating attachment theory and self-regulation theory. The integration explained how attachment styles shape regulatory responses, cognitively, effectively, behaviorally. The quiet achievers regulate effectively because secure attachment enabled it. In October 2025, 5 days before this script was researched, Encouragement magazine published an article on the Dunning-Kruger effect's persistent misunderstanding. The article emphasized the takeaway is not about spotting others' stupidity. It is about recognizing your own potential for overconfidence. The quiet achievers internalized this message long ago. They watch for their overconfidence. They question their certainty. They stay humble. A metaphorical soil core through psychological research. Layer by layer, study by study. The findings stratify. Secure attachment in childhood predicts emotional regulation in adolescence, predicts stable self-worth in young adulthood, predicts intrinsic motivation in careers, predicts intellectual humility in leadership, predicts prosocial behavior in communities, predicts psychological well-being in later life. Each layer confirms the next. The quiet achievers are not an anomaly. They are the predicted outcome of secure psychological development. The people staying quiet are not the modest ones. They are the grounded ones, carrying internal confirmation that needs no audience. Research proves this. Over 8,500 citations for the Dunning-Kruger paper, 2,034 participants in intellectual humility studies, decades of attachment research, hundreds of intrinsic motivation experiments. The data does not lie. They create art, they solve problems, they help others, they grow, they contribute, they matter. Just not on your feed, not in your comments, not for your validation. They matter in reality, where psychological groundedness lives, where secure attachment thrives, where intrinsic motivation sustains, where intellectual humility guides, where quiet confidence wins,